Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com and I'm back with another energy channeled celebrity video. When I use the word energy channeled, it just means I'm picking up on the intuitive energy around a particular person, celebrity, musician, actor, public figure, and in this particular instance, I'm picking up on the little Nickelodeon actress Amanda Bynes. She was born on April 3rd, 1986, okay? So she is a young woman heading into the middle part of her life between 30 and 50, where she should really be gathering steam and speeding up full time ahead with all of the experience that she's had thus far. Unfortunately, I say, she was popped into that Nickelodeon machine and scooped up by that particular producer, the producer they let go of about, I'm going to say 2 years ago, 2017. This producer was known for working with Britney Spears' little sister, Ariana Grande, and producing the top money-making shows on Nickelodeon, which is a kids channel. It is also known around Hollywood and pretty much I can't imagine it's not known for anybody who Googles on the internet, this particular producer, who's known for his love of underage girls, foot fetishes, and apparently knocked up one of his young actresses, caused another one to have abortions, and the network never got rid of him because, of course, why would they? He's making money. Forget the morality of it. Forget the humanity of it. He's making money, so fuck that. Let's keep him in charge. Until there was public outcry due to people on the internet actually exposing this producer, and Nickelodeon let go of him. Still, no charges were brought. Of course, I guess the families of these young girls and the young girls have to speak out, and that would be career death. So they're not going to. They're just going to basically express themselves in a reactionary way, which is what we see once they hit the media and they are focused on. It's as if they're mentally ill. Just like Kanye West, when they start speaking truth, what happens? They are shut down and carted off to the loony bin. That's what they used to call it in my day when I was carted off. The loony bin, right? Like you open your mouth, you speak the truth. There's something wrong with you on this planet. You're going to get carted off. Then you're going to come back, and because you don't want to go back in there because they medicate and drug you and make you feel crazy, you're going to agree like this to everything they say, which is what we see happening. But getting back to Amanda Bynes. Okay, so Amanda is an Aries. She's an Aries sun. She's a Gemini rising. Okay, so we know that she has duality within her nature and expression, because remember, the rising sign is the mask we wear to the world. So she's comfortable being a Gemini rising, which is communication and expression. Gemini is the sign, and it's ruled by Mercury along with its counterpart Virgo. Okay, so it's a squaring aspect actually. Gemini rules the lower octaves of the mind, and Virgo rules the advanced or focused octaves of the mind. So your Virgo people are going to be studying things in depth and focused on kind of one way, whereas Gemini will be all over the place, focused on many different things at any given time of the day. And then we have her Aquarius Moon. What is Aquarius Moon? Well, first of all, it's a little bit alien, a little bit foreign, and a little bit weird and odd, electrical. Detached would be what I would say. The combination of her personality is very interesting. And not at all what I would expect. What popped out to me in her natal chart, what popped out to me was the fact that she had Saturn conjunct Uranus in Sagittarius in the 7th house. Retrograde, both planets retrograde. Now Saturn retrograde, as I'm teaching you guys, yes, I'm doing my astrology lessons. I'm working on filming them. It takes different time frame for me to do that, and I will have them up soon. Anyway, when we have Saturn retrograde, what we have is a loss of father energy. No matter who owns the Saturn retrograde, the father is not the primary product of their interaction, okay? So there's huge karma and there is huge focus on the direction of life, but the heartfelt interaction between the person who has the natal chart and the Saturn retrograde is not there. So even if the father is technically there, as in he lives in the house and he comes home from work and he takes the kid to Little League, it's still not the dynamic of the relationship when this child is an adult where it has any connection to the person. Like they will always feel as if the connection was missing on some level. That is what I have found with Saturn retrograde, and it leads the owners of it down many different paths. The next thing that I saw that was really interesting was that Mars in Amanda's chart had popped into the 8th house, also a directive of the male influences in her life. Okay, so that was very interesting. It's a manipulation of the male counterparts in her life, meaning there was energy going on underneath the surface that very briefly that would cause her to either manipulate or be manipulated. Now, since she was the child, I'm going to go with she was initially manipulated because she was the child, right? Not that children can't be very good at manipulating with their cute little eyes and they want cookies and things like this, or a puppy or a motorcycle or whatever it is, trip to Florida, Disneyland, whatever. I'm talking more along the lines of the undercurrent in reference to that Saturn and Uranus. But let's get to the story of Amanda, because I started to focus on her energy. Now, if you remember back a few years ago, could go back as far as 4 years ago. I didn't actually look it up, but she was a bit younger. She was still in her 20s at that point. I think when she started to go a little bit AWOL, she started to act out. Now, the one thing that I can't stress enough for people, I can't stress it enough. If you have a human being that is acting out, okay, and addicted, I want you to look at these things as energy. People talk about addiction as being, genetically programmed, DNA, this and that. It's also an energetic program. How are we programmed in society to believe that we should eat McDonald's? We should eat Pop-Tarts. We should have liquor all the time. We should smoke cigarettes, and now we should vape, even though the vaping is killing people with the vitamin E in it. How are we programmed to respond? Okay, so I want you to understand that we are all, due to media, socialization, social engineering, TV shows geared towards children, socially engineered to pick up on thoughts and to express them in a certain way. It's been very difficult in my adult life to actually step back and ask myself, what is it I'm thinking versus what is it that I was taught to think, either by my community, my religion, and my television really watching, or media, movie watching. I mean, we have grown men out there right now that dress up like action super figures and go to the movies. Like, what is that about, right? Like, there's people in the movie theaters dressed up in costumes. These are 40, 50 something year old people running around like Batman, Superman, whoever, whichever character. Very interesting, very telling actually why people would do it. Not saying it's not fun, but Halloween is one thing, and then these people are actually going out in public. Now, with Amanda, what I picked up with her energy, okay, was early childhood indoctrination into certain behaviors. I started to ask her to come through. So I'm closing my eyes now because I do that when I'm meditating. So I asked Amanda's energy through her guides or whoever was around her to come through, okay? So what I picked up is early in her life, around the age of 3, all right? I started to pick up on the energy of her, and the energy around her was fascinating, because I get this really quirky, sweet little child that liked to be outgoing, was adventuresome. She liked to walk over in that corner, see what was behind that door, go over there, talk to those people. So she was a typical little outgoing, precocious child. I do feel that she was early on in her life structured to respond a certain way, because by the time she was 5, I see her going like this, okay? And that's kind of the reference for, trained, like a trained pony. She's a pageant person, just not in the pageant world. I see this. Her family had specific goals for her. So I asked why this child versus her siblings versus any other child. Why? Because that's kind of what I'm curious about. There's so many people that can do all kinds of things. There's a bazillion great entertainers. There's a bazillion great musicians. There's great athletes all over the world. Why this kid versus that kid? What was that about? What I was shown is that Amanda came through for her family, and she is another case. I've seen 2 recently this week. Well, she's the second. The first one was Judy Garland, who described being bound and brought into the world. And the next one is Amanda's energy. Amanda was sought after on the astral level in between lives. Now, what I'm seeing with her is quite interesting. The reason that it's fascinating to me is Amanda had no idea when she crossed over out of the last life that where she was not actually on the other side. I'm getting a very quick coming into this life, being encouraged to be born through the energy of the parental couple, so the mother and father. I'm feeling like, although, I mean, you get pregnant, obviously, okay, so we don't know what's coming through us pregnancy-wise, like who it is really. I mean, most of us don't. Sometimes we have one kid that stands out and we know there's a huge karma with that kid, but then for the most part, we're like, how did I get this kid, and where did I know this kid before? A lot of people ask that. I am getting with Amanda that she was brought into this lifetime for the specific purpose of procuring a living for her family, which sounds absurd because her family is well-to-do, middle-class people. They have money, okay? So they have a house, they have money. They could put their kids in singing and dancing lessons, all of those things, summer camp, music lessons. So they're not poor and they're not starving. So why Amanda? This was a karmic thing. She was pulled right in. I can see the strand connecting to her. And then I see her being pushed, boom, and now I'm born and now I'm her. This is what I was told. By the time she's 3, they're already gearing her up to perform. She is being what I want to call entertainment and performing ritualized, okay? So she is being taught how to speak and sit and move and talk at the age of 3. Now, you can tell me a 3-year-old wants to do stuff, and they do, okay? They absolutely do. But she is being, and the word is ritualized at that point. By the time she's 7, she's out there. Like, she's performing and she's out there. So I was asking, does her soul, it's not did, it's does her soul like what's happening? Does she feel like what's happening to her is a good thing? Like, is she happy to have that show on Nickelodeon? Does she enjoy her work? What is going on with this girl? What I was shown, and this is kind of horrific, and I don't know how this works, but what I was shown is from below the throat chakra, okay? So the throat chakra is kind of like right here, and above the root chakra, so just below the belly button by the sacral chakra, right in there, right in that area, I saw it as a gray box, okay? Kind of like it was grayed out, okay? So not black, but gray, which means it's laying dormant or stagnant. To me, the color gray, I always associate it with, weirdly, stagnation. When I'm looking at somebody's aura and I see too much gray, it reminds me of Cancer. So there's a stagnation effect with this. And I was seeing this with her from below the throat chakra to just above the root chakra. That whole area, the heart chakra, everything, sacral, everything, okay? Kind of dark, and it was dark on the front here and down a bit farther on the back. So there was this whole blocking out of energy chakra wise. Okay, so what are chakras? So then my mind goes to, what are chakras? They're the energy centers of the body, and we have them going out everywhere. We have them in our hands, we have them in our feet, we probably have them in areas all over our body, and we only know the main 7 because that's what's pushed. Keep in mind, with all forms of esoteric, metaphysical, and spiritual literature on the planet, including religion, theology, history, whatever it is we do, we are never given the full truth. Because if we had the full truth, we would know how to stand in our power. As such, we are only communicated with what we need to know. So we are basically, most of us are held hostage, except for a few that know really how to work the energy, and then the other few that are living on the opposite side of that energy in the counterbalance. So there's always a balance to energy. What is of God, there is an opposition, okay? So you can look at it, I'm not even judging it, it's just a different energy form, and it is balancing the energy, okay? So we have balance. So I am here and you are there. So there's a balance, okay? It's like pulling a rope, we balance. That's the energy I'm seeing. But here's what's fascinating. This was blocked off with her. And as I started to meditate and look further into what that meant, this is going to sound wild. What I saw is the minute that she agreed to perform and she agreed to step in the family and perform, which I don't know how you can ask a kid to, quote, make a decision, because what I would decide, even at the age of 14, when I was asked to make legal decisions within my family context about money and inheritance and stuff like this, I had no idea the repercussions of what I said then and how it would affect me now. Okay, none whatsoever. I mean, it's just complete bullshit to ask a child. You can ask them, what do you want for dinner? You can ask them things like that, but if you're going to ask them things that affect their entire life, maybe they're saying yes because they want your attention, which was the case with Amanda. She loved to perform, but she also wanted the acceptance of her family. It was very important to her. And keep in mind, her energy at birth was such that she was fulfilling a direct karmic past life with the people that she was in relationship with. Now, who are you in a relationship with when you're a child but your parents and siblings? So this was a direct connection to this, and she was thrust into it. There was no time to think. Quickly, get the sale made before she knows what she's doing. Don't let her read the instructions. Sign on the dotted line, and boom, out she went. Now, the other thing I was seeing when I saw the energy blocked off with her is right where the belly button area is, okay, around the solar plexus, I saw literally a cage. So cage bars, okay? The cage bars were like yellow whitish color to me, which is different. It means they're vibrating with light and there's an essence to them. And when I looked in the cage, because I'm like, what is that doing in her energy field? When I looked in the cage, I saw Amanda inside the cage looking out of the cage. Okay, I don't know how this happens, but I got it very clear. I have no idea how this works. I do know that we can get out of our bodies, because if you've ever astral traveled, you know that you can leave your physical body, but you are attached to it. That's what that DMT does too. I mean, it throws you right out of your body. You are attached by the silver cord to your body. As my son used to say, you know, your spacesuit, you're attached, and I followed the spacesuit back to my physical body, okay? So there's the etheric body and the physical body. However, I don't know, because I've been seeing this recently with people that have sold out. These are actors that have passed on, but they wanted the fame and they wanted the glory of things. And I've seen it in their energy fields where the second they agree to that, the second I see their essence, their soul essence, shoved out of the physical body to the side energetically. So they are within the context of their auric field, but they are not grounded into their body. What does this mean? It's really, it's kind of a layered effect, but if the soul is grounded into a body, they are physically able to move their hands, they're able to, you know, their brain tells their feet to move, they make their decisions for the most part with cognition. When the soul is outside, or the essence of the person steps outside, such as in astral traveling, the body is usually left dormant, as in when you leave your body, if you've done this, and I have many, many times, I mean, it is a genetic thing. It does come natural. For me, it was always natural. I never had to think about doing it. It just would happen. Sometimes it happens when I'm running. It's usually when I slip off the side of a hill, like I go right out of body, and then my physical body hits the ground and there's some injury from it because I'm at a distance. So I'm to the side of my physical body. Let's give another example. If you are driving a car and you open the driver's door and for some reason you let go of the steering wheel like you're a stunt driver and you step on the side of the car, you're not steering the car, therefore the car can go where it wants. This is how I feel about the essence of the person's energy stepping outside, still within the auric field, but stepping outside of the physical body. Amanda did this, but she was locked inside of herself, so she couldn't even step to the side and watch the car. She was caught inside her. Now, what does it mean to be caught inside of yourself? I saw her with her hands on the cage. I really felt like somehow she had been energetically manipulated to be controlled and caged. Okay, caged, I don't know how else to word it. She had been caged energetically so that she couldn't step forward. And I feel what we were seeing. Now, if you remember a few years back, for those that you follow the news, because she was on the mainstream news because she would, I don't know, she threw that bong off the 36th floor in New York. She wore that crazy blonde wig out, the one that was crooked. something about me really like that because it's pretty funny, you know, to walk down the street. She's a beautiful young woman. She's tall, she's lean, she's just beautiful. She wore that kind of sideways wig. She was always smoking pot. She got a series of nose jobs. There was no need for the nose jobs. And I asked what that was about, and they immediately showed me, duh. What does the nose connect to on the physical body? The nose is directly connected to your sexual body, the sex organs in the body. So when somebody is constantly changing and shifting their nose, this tells you on a sexual level that there's something going on behind the scenes with either how they feel about their sexuality, what they feel about their sexuality. The two are connected energetically. So that made sense to me. She got 3 different boob jobs. So it was reported. So she was trying to alter the physical self because I don't think she could feel herself. She couldn't feel herself. She did the same thing. And if you remember way back in the day, Roseanne Barr, if you remember back then, back in the 80s, Roseanne Barr, maybe even before that, but I think I only heard about it in the 80s. Roseanne Barr talked about being molested and abused by her father. And she went very publicly on this whole thing. You know, I was a victim of sexual abuse. I have multiple personality disorder. Amanda Bynes went a step farther and actually started video recording the sexual abuse that she says she suffered at the hands of her family, how her mother ignored everything, how her father passed her on to other people, how he sexually abused her, incested her. These are her words, not mine. She said it, and she did the same thing Roseanne Barr did. Roseanne Barr stepped back and said, I was mind controlled. I was pushed, you know, to the side. I made up stuff, made herself look crazy. And Amanda Bynes just did the same thing. This, of course, is after they took conservatorship over Amanda. Now, how are we as a country that we allow adult actors who were child actors who have money to be controlled like Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, and whoever else by their families? And yet we have a complete disarray of society with all the homeless people on the street and the people going to the bathroom on the street and the tents under the freeways. But we don't take conservatorship over people that want to go to the bathroom on the street and sleep on the cement. You can call it mental illness, but is it really mental illness, or is it mind alteration through forces we don't understand, both spiritual and perhaps governmental? We don't know, but what is that? So why is it only these child actors are taken conservatorship over? Why do judges feel that that's okay to do? Why is that okay? It shouldn't be okay. Why is it okay? It's not okay. They're grown-ass adults. If the guy can sleep under the subway bridge on the 405, then why can't Amanda wear a crazy wig, smoke pot, throw bongs out of windows and whatever, go to jail, do her time, come out and spend her money the way she wants to? I ask you why. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just asking what the hypocrisy is in our society that we get so concerned over one because she has money and is, quote, a cash cow, which is what her energy was telling me, and then another one who doesn't have money and fuck him, he's homeless. What's that about? So why do we allow this? That's a question I ask everybody to ponder. Our society really has to change because we're not helping the people who need help. We are caging, because when I saw Amanda, she was caged. People who earn money in order to enslave them energetically. This is what's going on. They are being enslaved energetically. And if they dare speak out, because Amanda went publicly, she was on the internet. I mean, she didn't sound crazy. The concept is crazy because most of us don't want to think it happens, but some of us who've grown up in abusive homes know that it happens, okay? This shit happens. Shit happens all the time. Why is Amanda's energy locked within inside the chakra system, which is blacked out, even though it's grayed out, okay? So it is stagnant, as in she can't harness her own energy. And if you'll notice, she, like Roseanne Barr, just recanted the stories of her father's abuse just within the last 2 months, and the judge gave her back control over her finances. Now, here is what I'm predicting, because I started to look at her energy, and I feel that she wants to be free, okay? So I feel energetically she wants to be free. Really, she does. So I looked at the energy, and within the next I'm going to put it between now and probably early November of this year, 2020, we're going to start to see her unravel again, okay? She's going to unravel. There'll be another mishap. What happens when these people unravel? Where is their energy going? Who's controlling that energy? Who has control over it? You start to ask yourself these questions and you can see, let's say you were born into a family where they spoke a particular language. It was a language that was different than every other family in your neighborhood. And while speaking this language, they were able to understand things in a different way, to fire up energy. Because remember, everything is energy. We are the essence of energy. It is an energetic thing. Addiction is energetic. Depression is energetic. It vibrates, okay? So it moves in a certain resonance level. Now, let's say there were people that were knowledgeable. Just like if you had somebody in an uneducated home, many people in an uneducated home, and then you had a Harvard grad, medical grad, in the same home with information that the uneducated, quote, uneducated people didn't have. That Harvard grad would be able to teach these, quote, uneducated people things about theory, physics, math, angles, whatever, that most people didn't know, and he would be able to elevate their energy in a different way. Amanda seems to have been brought onto the planet in order to facilitate growth energetically from the family unit. The other thing I saw with her, which was exactly like Judy Garland, is that she drank a liquid, I'm going to put it, whatever the heck she drank for breakfast, that they spiked with medicine, pills, cocktail concoctions. I'm not talking alcohol. I'm talking something that will keep you up and energy. And that is how she made her name, an energetic, vivacious young woman. I'm not saying she isn't, okay? Because we know Aries can be like a bloody whirlwind of energy. Usually a little bit on the aggressive side, but the Gemini rising and the Aquarius moon can tone that down. So the aggression can be done a little bit differently. Gemini is hard to contain to begin with. So the combination of that and whatever she was given made her appear to be a certain way. Now, as she got to be an adult, and of course, the industry as it is was no longer interested in her, because remember, some of these actors and actresses are born into circumstances that most of us are not acquainted with. And their belief system is the opposite balance of the majority, or you could call it the majority and maybe we're the minority, either way. And they have children for their own purpose. Most of us have children for our own purpose. It's kind of a selfish thing when you're thinking about it. We want somebody to carry on our legacy. Very rarely do I hear people go, I just loved my husband so much, we wanted to have this child and make it an expression of our love. I know that is talked about. I don't hear it much. I'm sure it happens, but I don't hear it much, okay? We have a lot of divorces, a lot of step families, a lot of step parents to make that statement kind of not relevant at this point. However, I feel that Amanda was purchased on the other side, okay? Sold into servitude and brought through energetically. Weird thing to say, but that's what I feel. I actually feel that happened. Now, I want you to watch for her as we hit November of 2020 and onward as she starts to go AWOL again. I'm seeing this happen for her. And this isn't the first video that I'm going to do on her, but it's the one I wanted to get out right now, and I have to go to work, so I got to go. But once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.